It's morning, and I'm holed up in my apartment. Sunlight slicing through the cracked blinds like it's trying to interrogate me. The journal's open on my desk, its pages twitching faintly, like it's got a pulse of its own. My hands still bandaged from last night's basement bloodbath with Kaplan, and the cold weight in my chest. The hunger's mark hasn't budged. The whispers are back, soft but persistent, leaking from the walls like a bad tenant. They're not as loud as the voice in the basement, but they're saying something. Maybe watch. Wait, I mutter. If you're my new alarm clock, I'm unplugging you and sip my coffee, which tastes like regret and stale beans. I haven't slept, not really. Every time I close my eyes, I see the sigils flaring. Feel that hook in my chest. Kaplan's words keep looping. You're in it now. No going back. I'm not sure what it is, keep a vessel, or just screwed, but I'm stuck. The journal's my only lead, so I'm staring at it, trying to decode Harrow's cryptic scrawl. A new page catches my eye, one I swear wasn't there before. It's a sketch of the building with lines connecting sigils to anchor points in the foundation roof, and get this, my apartment. I double-check the floor plan on my lease. Yep, my place is marked. Awesome. I'm living in a supernatural bullseye. I groan, rubbing my eyes. The whispers spike, and a shadow flickers across the blinds, too fast to be a bird, too human to be nothing. I freeze coffee cup halfway to my mouth and creep to the window. The street's empty fog, still clinging to the corners, but I'm sure it was the hooded figure from before. My phone buzzes a text from an unknown number. Don't leave the book. I stay heart thudding. No one knows about the journal except Kaplan, and she's not the texting type. I mutter, if this is you. Hunger, your data plan sucks and block the number, but my hands are shaking. The whispers hum almost amused, and the journal's pages flip on their own, landing on a passage the watchers guard, but they also seek. Trust none who know the sigils. I grab my backpack, shoving in the journal a flashlight, and because I'm paranoid now, a kitchen knife. I need answers, and Kaplan's my best bet. I head to her door, knocking hard. No answer, but the chalk sigil's gone, erased, like it was never there. I try the knob unlocked. Stupid move, but I push inside, calling Kaplan. It's me. Her apartment's trashed furniture, tipped photos smashed, and no sign of her. The whispers are louder. Here chanting, gone, gone. I spot a note pinned to the wall in her handwriting. They took me. Don't follow. Keep the book safe. My stomach drops. Who's they, the watchers? The hooded figure. I mutter. Great, now I'm in a conspiracy sequel. Here's some elderly wisdom my cousin used to say. When the house talks, you listen or you leave. He was joking about creaky floors, but these whispers aren't structural. And an odd fact, paranormal researchers debate psychic imprints, where intense events leave echoes in a place like voices or shadows. Some call it pseudoscience. Others swear it's why old houses feel alive. This building's imprinted to hell, and Kaplan's gone. I pocket the note, lock her door, and head back to my place journal, heavier than ever. The sigils, the watchers, the hunger. It's all closing in, and I'm the idiot who signed up for it. I sit at my desk journal, open, trying to plan. The sketch says my apartment's an anchor point, so maybe there's a sigil here. I check the wall's floor, even the damn ceiling, nothing. But the whispers keep going, and the cold in my chest tightens, like the hunger's reminding me it's there. I need to find Kaplan, track the hooded figure, and figure out what the watchers want. For now, I'm staying put, journal close, knife closer. The sunlight's fading, and the building's too quiet, like it's holding its breath. Whatever's coming, I'm not ready, but I'm not running either. Dusk settles over the city, the sky bruised purple and orange, and I'm out on a deserted street, the journal in my backpack practically radiating heat like a coal. Kaplan's gone. Her trashed apartment and cryptic note burned into my brain, and that text, "Don't leave the book," has me jumping at shadows. The streetlights flicker on, sputtering, like they're as nervous as I am, pooling eerie light on the cracked pavement. The whispers are back, clearer now, not just in my head, but tugging me forward, saying, "Come, see." I mutter. If this is a wild goose chase, I'm billing you for my time, but my feet keep moving, drawn toward an abandoned lot, a block away, overgrown with weeds and littered with broken glass. The lot's a wasteland bordered by a sagging chain-link fence, and the whispers are louder here, buzzing like static. My backpack feels heavier, the journal's warmth spreading through the straps, and I'm half convinced it's trying to tell me something. I pause, scanning the lot, empty except for a pile of rubble where a building once stood. The air's thick like the basement, and I catch that same smell, old books, incense, something ancient. The streetlights dim and a shadow shifts in the corner of my eye, hooded tall gone when I turn. "Not falling for your ninja tricks," I say, gripping my flashlight, but my voice sounds small in the open air. I step into the lot, boots crunching on gravel, and the whispers sharpen. "Here. Dig." I freeze. "Dig with what, my bare hands?" I mutter. "You've got the wrong guy for archaeology," but the journal's heat pulses insistent. I kneel by the rubble, pushing aside bricks, and find a metal plate rusted but etched with yep spiral slash sigils. My heart kicks up. This isn't random. It's connected to the building, to Harrow, to the hunger. I pry the plate up with my knife, revealing a shallow pit with a small sealed box inside, covered in more sigils. The whispers hum, almost pleased, and the box is cold to the touch, like it's sucking the warmth from my fingers. I don't open it. Not here, not now. I stuff it into my backpack next to the journal, which feels like it's vibrating now. The whispers shift, warning. They come, run. I spin flashlight beam cutting through the dusk and see them, two figures, hooded, moving fast from the street. My stomach lurches. Watchers. Kaplan's they, I mutter. Nope. Not doing the horror movie sprint, but I'm already bolting, weaving through the lot toward an alley. The figures are silent. Their steps too quick, and the street lights flicker out as I pass, plunging the world into grey. I duck into the alley, heart pounding, and crouch behind a dumpster. The whispers are frantic. Hide. Wait. And I hold my breath, clutching the backpack. The figures pause at the alley's mouth, their shapes barely visible in the gloom. One tilts their head like they're sniffing the air, and I swear I hear a low hum, like the hunger's voice. They move on, and I wait, lungs burning, until the whispers soften. Gone. Safe, I mutter. Safe's a strong word, and check the box in my pack. It's still cold, sigils faintly glowing, and the journal's hotter than ever. Whatever's in here, it's part of the puzzle, maybe what Kaplan was taken for. Here's some elderly wisdom my mom used to say. Don't pick up what you can't put down. She meant bad habits, but this box feels like one I can't drop. And an odd fact, archaeologists debate ritual caches, hidden objects buried to protect or bind, something often found at secret sites. Some call them superstition. Others say they hold power. This box screams ritual cache, and I'm betting it's tied to the hunger's binding. I head back to my apartment, sticking to lit streets, the whispers guiding me like a creepy GPS. Kaplan's out there, the watchers are hunting, and I've got 2 hot potatoes in my backpack. The building looms ahead, its windows dark, and I know I'm walking back into the lion's den, but I'm not done digging yet. It's late, and my apartment's a cave of shadows, lit only by a flickering desk lamp that's seen better days. The journal and the sigil-covered box from the abandoned lot sit on my kitchen table, their faint glows red for the journal, blue for the box, pulsing like they're breathing together. The whispers are constant now, weaving through the walls, fragmented but urgent watchers. Near, beware. I'm nursing a beer, my bandaged hand aching, and the cold weight in my chest. The hunger's mark tightens every time the glows sink. I mutter, if you too are plotting, I'm not signing off. But the journal's pages stir, and the box hums faintly, like it's replying. I'm way past skeptical. This stuff's alive. I've been studying the box, too scared to open it, but too curious to ignore it. The sigils match the journals, but they're carved deeper, almost angry. I sketch them cross-referencing with Harrow's notes, which mention secondary anchors to reinforce the binding. Maybe this box is one meant to keep the hunger locked. Kaplan's note. They took me. Keep the book safe burns in my mind. The watchers must want the journal, maybe the box too. The whispers shift sharper. They seek. They take. I'm about to grab my knife when a knock at the door jolts me. Beer sloshing onto the table. My heart's in my throat. Not expecting DoorDash, I mutter, inching toward the peephole. It's empty, no one's there. The whispers go wild, a jumbled mess. Not them, not safe. I grab the knife, my flashlight, and because I'm not an idiot, the journal and box stuffing them into my backpack. Another knock louder, and the lamp flickers out, leaving only the glows from my back. I mutter, if this is a prank, I'm not laughing, and crack the door knife ready. The hallway's dark light's dead, but I catch a whiff of that old book smell, and a shadow shifts at the stairwell. Hooded, tall, definitely a watcher. I slam the door locket and back away, heart hammering. The whispers chant, run. Now. I'm not sticking around for round 2. I grab my jacket, check the window fire escapes clear, and climb out the backpack, heavy with its glowing cargo. The whispers guide me down, away. I hit the alley, sticking to the shadows, and head toward the only place I can think of, the library. It's closed, but I know a side door from my archive trips. The city's quiet streetlights buzzing, and I keep glancing back, expecting hooded figures. The journal's heat and the box's cold press against my back like they're arguing. The whispers are softer now, but insistent. Find. No, I mutter. Find what? A manual for how to not die. I reach the library, slip through the side door, and head to the archive section. It's pitch black, but the journal and box glow enough to light my way. I set them on a table, their pulses sinking again, and the whispers clarify, open, learn. I hesitate. Opening the box feels like inviting trouble, but Kaplan's gone, and the watchers are closing in. I grab my knife, pry the box's seal, and it clicks open. Inside is a small leather-bound book, its cover etched with a single sigil, a spiral, no slash. The whispers hum almost reverent, and the cold in my chest eases slightly. I open it, finding pages of tight script, Harrow's, but different grammar. The first line reads, to unbind the hunger, the vessel must break. Here's some elderly wisdom my uncle used to say: don't pull a thread unless you're ready for the whole thing to unravel. He meant arguments, but this book's a thread, and I'm tugging. And an odd fact, occult texts describe counter-ritual spells to undo bindings often hidden in separate texts to prevent misuse. Some call them legend, others say they're real dangerous. This book feels like a counter-ritual, and it might save Kaplan or doom us all. The whispers murmur, choose again, and I know I'm at another crossroads. I pocket the new book, grab the journal and box, and head out the library's shadows clinging to me. The watchers are out there. Kaplan's missing, and I'm carrying the keys to a cage I barely understand. I'm in the library's archive section midnight, pressing against the windows like a living thing. The journal sigil-covered box and the new leather-bound book from the box are on a table, their glows red-blue, and now a faint gold from the new book bathing the dusty shelves in an eerie light. The whispers are relentless, weaving through the air, urgent and fragmented. Find her, now. Ritual, the cold weight in my chest. The hunger's mark pulses in time with the glows, and my bandaged hand throbs as I grip the new book. I mutter, if this is a book club, the snacks suck, but the whispers don't care, pushing me toward action. Then footsteps slow, deliberate echo from the main hall, and my stomach twists. The watchers are here. I flip through the new book, Harrow's counter-ritual text, scanning for anything about finding someone. A page catches my eye to seek the bound align the anchors. It describes a ritual using 3 objects: journal, secondary anchor, the box, and key. This book to locate a keeper like Kaplan. The whispers hum, almost guiding my hands as I arrange the items in a triangle, their glows sinking. The ritual needs a sigil, drawn in blood, great, more stabbing. I mutter, I'm gonna need a loyalty card for blood donations, and prick my finger with my knife, wincing as I trace the spiral sigil on the table. The glows flare, and the whispers sharpen. See, follow. The air shifts heavy, like before a storm, and an image flickers in my mind. Kaplan bound in a dark room with sigils on the walls. It's vague, but there's a window with a cracked neon sign outside blinking red. I know that sign, it's near the old warehouse district a mile away. The vision fades, but the whispers urge go. Now, I'm packing the items when the footsteps get louder, closer, and a shadow stretches across the archive doorway. I kill my flashlight, crouch behind a shelf, and hold my breath. The whispers go quiet, like they're hiding too. A hooded figure steps in, their face hidden, and they pause, scanning the room. I clutch my backpack, the journal's heat, and boxes cold, pressing against me. They move toward the table, and I notice something, a faint hum, like the hunger's voice coming from them. Are they keepers like Kaplan, or something worse? The figure runs a gloved hand over the blood sigil, and it flares briefly before fading. They mutter something low, unintelligible, and turn toward my hiding spot. My heart's a jackhammer. The whispers hiss, move, now. I bolt for the side door, knocking over a chair, and the figure spins fast. I'm out sprinting through the library's dark halls, their footsteps pounding behind me. The whispers guide out. Left. I hit the side exit, burst into the alley, and keep running the warehouse district, my only lead. The city's a maze of shadow streetlights, flickering like they're in on it. I stick to alleys, checking over my shoulder, no sign of the watcher. but I'm not slowing down. The journal's burning in my back, the new book's gold glow seeping through the fabric, and the whispers are a steady chant. Hurry, save. I reach the warehouse district spotting the neon sign. Red cracked buzzing. The building's a crumbling brick. Giant windows boarded, but a faint blue glow leaks from a gap. I mutter, if this is a trap, I'm leaving a bad Yelp review and slip inside knife ready. Inside it's cold. The air thick with dust and that old book smell. The whispers are softer but clear. Find. I climb a rusted staircase, the blue glow, brighter now, and find a room with sigils scrawled on the walls, same as the vision. Kaplan's there, tied to a chair. Head slumped. I rush over, whispering, Kaplan, it's me. She stirs, eyes bleary but sharp. You idiot, she croaks. They're coming. The whispers scream, leave. Now. And footsteps echo below. Heavy multiple. The watchers found us. Here's some elderly wisdom my grandma used to say, don't chase what's already caught. She meant lost causes, but Kaplan's not lost yet, and I'm not leaving her. And an odd fact, occultists debate scrying rituals using objects to glimpse distant places, or people often tied to blood or intent. Some call it nonsense. Others say it's real risky. That ritual worked, but now I'm in deeper. I cut Kaplan's ropes, help her up, and we head for a back exit. The whispers frantic, the watchers closing in. The hunger's mark burns in my chest, and I know this isn't just about saving Kaplan. It's about what we're carrying and what's hunting us. The warehouse is a rotting skeleton of brick and rust, its air heavy with mold and the sharp tang of old magic. Kaplan limps beside me, her arm slung over my shoulder, her breath ragged but her eyes fierce. The sigil-covered walls glow faintly, their spiral slash patterns pulsing like a warning. The whispers are a frantic chorus, slicing through the dust out. Now, hurry. The hunger's mark in my chest burns hotter, a searing pulse that matches the journal's heat in my backpack, where it sits with the sigil-covered box and the new book. The watcher's footsteps echo from the lower floor, multiple relentless closing in. I mutter, if we survive this, I'm charging you for cab fare. But Kaplan just grunts, her grip tightening. We're heading for a back exit, a rusted door, half hidden by crates. The whispers guide there, fast. But Kaplan's slowing her leg, bloodied from whatever the watchers did. I half drag her, my own bandaged hand screaming with every step. The sigils flare brighter as we pass, and the hunger's mark feels like it's clawing at my ribs. Kaplan notices hissing. It's reacting, they're waking it, I mutter. Great, my chest's a supernatural alarm clock, but there's no time for snark. The footsteps are on the stairs now, heavy and too close. The whispers scream, move, move. I shove the crates aside, revealing the door. It's stuck swollen from years of neglect. I ram my shoulder into it, pain shooting through me, and it groans open just as a shadow stretches across the wall, hooded tall one of the watchers. Kaplan pulls a piece of chalk from her pocket, scrawling a sigil on the door frame with shaking hands. Hold them off, she mutters, and the sigil flares, a brief barrier. The watcher pauses their hum, like the hunger's voice vibrating the air. I mutter, nice trick, but I'm not sticking around for the encore, and pull Kaplan through the door into a narrow alley. The alley's a claustrophobic mess of trash and shadows the city's pulse faint beyond it. The whispers soften but don't stop away. Safe. Kaplan's leaning hard on me, her face pale. They want the key she rasps, meaning the new book. It's Harrow's failsafe to unbind the hunger. I freeze the book's weight in my back, suddenly heavier. Unbind it? Why the hell would we do that? She glares, catching her breath. Not us, them. They think they can control it. The hunger's mark pulses almost mocking, and I mutter, yeah, good luck with that. We stumble toward a main street, aiming for a diner I know that's open late. The watcher's hum fades, but I'm not dumb enough to think they're gone. Kaplan's note said they took her more than one organized. I ask, who are they cult keepers gone rogue? She shakes her head, wincing. Old blood, families like mine, but they broke the pact. Want power, not duty. The whispers murmur, beware. Trust none. And I'm starting to think they're the only ones I can rely on, which is depressing. The diner's neon glow appears ahead, and we slip inside, collapsing into a booth. The waitress raises an eyebrow, but brings coffee without questions. Kaplan sketches a sigil on a napkin, her hands steadier now. We need to hide the key, she says, and reinforce the binding. Your apartment's an anchor point, use it. I nod, but the new book's words haunt me. The vessel must break. Does that mean me, Kaplan? The building. The hunger's mark burns and the whispers shift softer. Choose soon, I mutter. I'm getting real tired of choices, and Kaplan almost smiles, but it's grim. The diner's warm, but the city outside feels alive watching. We've got the journal, the box, the key, and a target on our backs. The watchers won't stop and the hunger's waking up. Here's some elderly wisdom my grandfather used to say, you can't lock a storm in a bottle. He meant anger, but the hunger's a storm, and we're holding the cork. And an odd fact, occult scholars debate pact breakers groups who betray sacred duties for power, often tied to ancient rituals. Some call them myth, others point to historical cults. These watchers are pact breakers, and they're real. Kaplan sips her coffee, eyes scanning the door. I check my backpack, the glows are faint, but steady. We're not safe, just catching our breath. The next move's ours, but the hunger's mark reminds me we're running out of time. The diner's neon buzz hums like a heartbeat at 3 a.m. Its red and blue lights casting a surreal glow over the cracked vinyl booths. Kaplan and I are hunched over a corner table, coffee growing cold as she sketches protective sigils on napkins with a stolen pen. My backpack's shoved under the table. The journal sigil-covered box and new book, the key, radiating faint heat and cold that I feel through the canvas. The whispers are low but restless, slithering through the diner's hum near danger, prepare. The hunger's mark in my chest pulses with unease, a slow burn that spikes when Kaplan's pen pauses. I mutter, if we're warding off evil, these napkins better be industrial strength. But her sharp look shuts me up. Kaplan's still pale, her bandaged leg propped on a chair, but her hands are steady, tracing spiral slash sigils with precision. These'll hold for a bit, she says, folding the napkins and handing me one. Keep it on you. We're not safe here long. I tuck it into my jacket, feeling like a kid with a lucky charm. The new book's words. The vessel must break gnaw at me, but I don't bring it up. Kaplan's focused, muttering about reinforcing the binding at my apartment, the anchor point. The whispers shift sharper. They come soon. I glance at the diner's windows. Empty street fog, curling under streetlights. But the hunger's mark throbs, like it knows something I don't. I pull the backpack onto my lap, checking the contents. The journal's warm, the box cold, the new book's gold glow faint but steady. Kaplan notices, her eyes narrowing. Don't open the key here, she warns. It's unstable, could draw them faster. I nod, but the whispers disagree, murmuring, read. No. I ignore them for once and ask these backbreakers watchers, how many are we dealing with? Kaplan sighs, rubbing her temple. At least a dozen, old families scattered but organized. They've been waiting for the binding to weaken. The hunger's mark flares, and I mutter, guess I'm the employee of the month for screwing that up. The waitress refills our coffee, her glance lingering too long, and the whispers spike. Not her, not right. I tense, but Kaplan shakes her head slightly. Don't act yet. The waitress moves off, and Kaplan leans in. We need to move. Your apartment's our best shot, anchor point strong there. I nod, but the idea of going back to the building where the hunger's rooted feels like walking into a trap. The whispers hum, go. Trust, but trust who, Kaplan? The voices in my head, the diner's door jingles, and two figures step in, hooded, their faces shadow. The hunger's mark burns hot, and the whispers scream now. Leave. We're up in a flash, Kaplan wincing as she grabs her crutch, a broom handle from the diner's closet. I sling the backpack over my shoulder, the items inside shifting with a faint glow. The hooded figures don't move, but their hum, like the hunger's voice, fills the air, making my skin crawl. Kaplan mutters, back door, and we weave through the kitchen, the cook yelling as we shove past. The whispers guide out. Hurry. We hit the alley, cold air biting, and Kaplan scrawls a sigil on the doorframe, its flare buying us seconds. The hum grows louder, and I mutter, they're like roaches everywhere. We head for my apartment, sticking to back streets. Kaplan limping, but keeping pace. The city's asleep, but the fog feels alive, curling around us like it's watching. The whispers are a steady drum home. Bind. The hunger's mark pulses with every step, and I feel the journal's heat like a second heartbeat. Kaplan's quiet, her face set, but she breaks the silence. If we lose the key, they'll unbind it. The hunger will eat this city, I mutter. No pressure then, but the weight of it hits me. The new book's a weapon, and we're the only ones holding it. We reach the building, its dark windows like eyes. The whispers soften. Here, ready. Kaplan sketches the sigil on the entrance, its glow faint but steady. We climb to my apartment. The hunger's mark burning hotter. The backpack's glow sinking. Inside, the air's thick, the walls humming faintly. Kaplan points to the floor. Anchor points here, draw the sigils. I'll prep the ritual. I nod, grabbing chalk, but the whispers murmur, choose, break. And the new book's words echo, the vessel must break. I'm starting to think, it's not just the building at stake, it's us. Here's some elderly wisdom. My aunt used to say, you can't outrun a fire you started. She meant gossip, but I lit this match and the hunger's spreading. And an odd fact, occultists debate anchor points, places where rituals are strongest, often tied to ley lines or sacred ground. Some call it pseudoscience. Others say it's why old sites hold power. My apartment's an anchor point, and it's our last stand. Kaplan's prepping, I'm drawing, and the watchers are coming. The hunger's mark burns, and I know we're not just fighting for Kaplan or the key, we're fighting to keep the storm caged. Dawn creeps through the cracked blinds, painting my apartment in sickly gray light. The sigils I chalked on the floor glow faintly, their spiral slash patterns humming with energy. Kaplan's at the kitchen table, the journal sigil covered box, and the new book, the key, arranged before her, their red, blue, and gold glows pulsing in sync. She's prepping a binding ritual to reinforce the hunger's cage, her hands steady, despite the bloodstains on her bandages. The whispers are chaotic, a storm of voices clawing at the air bind. Break, beware. The hunger's mark in my chest writhes a burning knot that feels alive, reacting to the ritual or the watchers I know are closing in. I mutter, if this goes south, I'm leaving a 1-star review for the apocalypse, but Kaplan's too focused to reply. She's muttering incantations from the journal, her voice low and rhythmic, like she's coaxing the sigils to life. The box hums its gold seeping into the table, while the key's gold glow flickers unstable. The whispers spike, half warning, half pleading. Stop. No, continue. I'm pacing, knife in hand, checking the windows. Fog chokes the street, but shadows move within it, hooded and deliberate. The hunger's mark pulses harder, and I hiss, can you speed this up? My chest's about to file a complaint. Kaplan glares. It's not a microwave dinner. One wrong word, and we're dinner. The air thickens, the sigils flaring brighter, and I feel the building groan like it's waking up. Kaplan opens the key, reading from Harrow's counter-ritual text. This strengthens the binding, she says, but it'll draw them. Be ready. I nod, gripping the knife tighter. The ritual needs blood again. She pricks her finger, letting drops fall onto the journal, and I do the same, wincing as the sigils drink it up their glow, now blinding. The whispers scream, they're here, now, and the door rattles a low hum, like the hunger's voice seeping through the wood. I mutter, room service is early, and position myself between the door and Kaplan, who's deep in the chant, her eyes half closed. The door shakes harder, the lock creaking and the hum grows, vibrating my bones. The sigils pulse in time with the hunger's mark, and I feel it stirring, not just in me, but in the walls, the floor, the air. Kaplan's voice rises sharp, and the journal's pages flip on their own, landing on a sketch of the building with my apartment circled. The whispers fragment braced vessel. Now, I freeze. The key's words. The vessel must break. Hit like a punch. Is it me? The building Kaplan shouts, focus. Hold the line, but the door splinters, and 3 hooded figures burst in, their deafening eyes glowing faintly under their hoods. I swing the knife, catching one in the arm, but they barely flinch, their gloved hands reaching for the table. Kaplan throws a chalked napkin, its sigil flaring and knocking one back, but the others advance. The hunger's mark roars, and I feel a surge, dark, cold, powerful course through me. I shove a watcher hard, too hard, and they crash into the wall cracks, spider webbing out. What the hell was that, I mutter, but there's no time. Kaplan's chant peaks, the sigils blazing, and the room shakes, dust falling from the ceiling. The whispers wail, done, run. But the watchers recover their hum, now a scream. Kaplan grabs the journal and key, shoving them into my backpack. The box stays, it's anchored, she yells, limping toward the window. I grab the pack, the hunger's mark searing, and follow her to the fire escape. The watchers lunge, but the sigils flare, holding them for seconds. We scramble down the building, trembling, and hit the alley. The whispers are faint but clear away. Hide. Kaplan's breathing hard, blood soaking her bandage. It's stronger. She gasps. The binding held, but they're closer to breaking it. I mutter, awesome. We're winning at losing, and we slip into the fog. The watchers hum, fading, but not gone. Here's some elderly wisdom my dad used to say. You can't fix a dam with a bucket. He meant half measures, but we're patching a cosmic leak with chalk and blood. And an odd fact occult, Texts mention vessel overload, where a binding's anchor person or place can't hold the entity, risking collapse. Some call it theory, others cite lost cities. My apartment's the anchor and it's cracking. Kaplan's limping. I'm half possessed, and the key's burning a hole in my back. The watchers are relentless, the hunger's waking, and the whispers keep saying break. We're not just running from them, we're running from what we might have to do. The alley is a grey tunnel of fog, dawn barely cutting through the damp haze. Kaplan's weight drags on my shoulder, her limping worse blood seeping through her bandage. The backpack straps dig into me, the journal and key inside glowing faintly, their red and gold pulses leaking through the canvas like a heartbeat. The whispers are urgent, a jagged guide through the mist safe. East. Hurry. The hunger's mark in my chest surges a molten pulse that makes my vision blur, as if it's trying to steer me too. A faint hum, like the hunger's voice, echoes behind us, distant but growing. The watchers are still hunting. I mutter. If I wanted cardio, I'd join a gym, but Kaplan's shallow breathing keeps me moving. She mutters, safe house. Old church, east side. My family's. Her voice is thin, but her grip's iron. The whispers align with her words, chanting, church, sanctuary. I nod, half carrying her through the alley's maze, dodging overturned bins and slick cobblestones. The hunger's mark burns hotter, and I feel it tug like it's resisting the safe house or drawn to the watcher's hum. I mutter, if you're picking sides, you're fired, but the mark doesn't care, and the key's glow in my back feels heavier, its words haunting. The vessel must break. I push the thought down, focusing on Kaplan's directions. The city's a ghost town fog, swallowing street lights and signs. The whispers grow sharper. Close, beware. And the hum behind us spikes, now joined by soft footsteps. I glance back, nothing but fog, but the hunger's mark throbs in warning. Kaplan hisses, they're cloaking, keep moving. She pulls a chalked napkin from her pocket, its sigil faintly glowing, and presses it into my hand. Last resort, throw it. I tuck it into my sleeve knife in my other hand and mutter, what's next, magic beans? She doesn't laugh, her eyes scanning the mist like a hawk. We reach the church, a crumbling stone relic with boarded windows and a rusted gate. The whispers hum, almost relieved. Here, inside, Kaplan sketches a sigil on the gate, her hand shaking, and it creaks open, the sigil flaring briefly. Inside, the air stale, heavy with dust and faded incense. Pews are overturned, but the altar's intact, carved with spirals, no slashes. The hunger's mark eases slightly, but the hum outside grows louder, vibrating the stained glass. Kaplan collapses onto a pew, gasping toward the door. Now? I grab chalk from her pack, sketching sigils as she instructs. Their glow weak but steady. The whispers chant, hold, protect. The hum stops, sudden and unnerving, and the fog outside the windows swirls like it's alive. The hunger's mark pulses, and I feel that dark surge again. The same power that cracked the wall in my apartment. I mutter, not now, you're on timeout, but it's like wrestling a shadow. Kaplan's eyes narrow, noticing. It's bonding to you, she says, voice tight. The mark's not just a scar, it's a conduit. I freeze, the key's weight in my back unbearable. Conduit for what? Possession, she doesn't answer, just points to the altar. Set the journal and key there. We reinforce the binding. His sanctuary strong. I place the items on the altar, their glows syncing with the carved spirals. Kaplan drags herself up, leaning on the pew, and starts chanting, her voice hoarse but firm. The sigils flare, the air crackling, but the whispers turn chaotic. Break. No. Bind. The hunger's mark roars and the church trembles, dust falling from the rafters. A shadow moves outside, hooded silent, and the hum resumes louder, clawing at my skull. I grip the knife standing guard as Kaplan chants, but the key's words scream in my head. The vessel must break. Is it me? The church Kaplan. The door rattles, the sigils flaring but fading. Kaplan's chant falters, blood dripping from her hand onto the altar. The whispers wail they're her. Choose, I mutter, choose what the worst option. But the hunger's mark surges, and I feel it dark, hungry alive, reaching for the key. The door buckles, and a watcher steps through, their eyes glowing under the hood, hum deafening. Kaplan shouts, hold them, and I throw the chalk napkin, its sigil exploding in light, staggering the watcher. But more shadows move outside, and the hunger's mark burns like a brand. We're cornered, and the vessel's cracking. Here's some elderly wisdom my cousin used to say. You can't outswim a shark in its own water. He meant fights you can't win, but the hunger's ocean is rising, and we're drowning. And an odd fact, occultist debate conduit marks brands that link a person to an entity, amplifying power but risking control. Some call it folklore, others cite possessed shamans. My mark's a conduit, and it's waking up. Kaplan's fading, the keys glowing, and the watchers are at the door. The whispers keep saying choose, but every path feels like breaking. The midnight cathedral's air is thick with dust, and the altar glowing a primal hum. Its ancient sigils flaring on the altar carved spirals, pulsing like a heartbeat in sync with the journal and key on the altar. Kaplan's voice is a ragged chant, barely cutting through the chaos as she fights to complete the binding ritual to cage the hunger. The journal's red glow and the key's golden light pulse wildly, their energy crackling like a storm. I'm by the door, knife in one hand, Kaplan's last chalked napkin in the other, fending off relentless watchers. Their hum shakes the walls, a deafening pulse that rattles my bones, and the hunger's mark in my chest writhes, tempting me with a dark, surging power that wants out. The whispers are a desperate scream. Stand. Fight. Break, I mutter. If this is the final stand, I'm demanding overtime, but the words feel hollow against the chaos. Kaplan's leaning on the altar, blood dripping from her hand onto the journal, her chant faltering but fierce. The sigils blaze the air heavy with static, but the key's glow flickers unstable as if resisting. The whispers split, half urging, half warning, no, vessel. The hunger's mark burns like a furnace, and I feel it pushing, hungry alive, reaching for the key. Two watchers push through the door, their hooded forms glowing faintly. They hum a physical force. I throw the napkin, its sigil exploding in white light, staggering them, but another steps over the threshold, eyes blazing under their hood. I swing the knife, catching one in the shoulder, but they barely flinch, their gloved hands swiping for my chest, aiming for the mark. The dark power surges again unbidden, and I shove the watcher back, the force cracking the stone floor. Stay in your lane, I snarl, but the mark's power scares me. It's too strong, too eager. Kaplan shouts, keep them off, almost done. But her voice cracks, and I see blood seeping through her bandage, pooling on the altar. The journal's pages flip violently, stopping on a sigil, a spiral, no slash, like the key's cover. The whispers wail, break, now. Vessel. The key's words. The vessel must break burn in my mind. I'm starting to think it's me, the conduit, not the church or Kaplan. The mark wants to break free, and it's using me to do it. Another watcher lunges, and I dodge, slashing their arm, but their hum intensifies, shaking the stained glass above. Shards rain down, and I shield Kaplan glass, cutting my arm. The ritual's energy peaks, the sigils blinding, and the cathedral groans cracks, snaking up the walls. Kaplan's chant rises a desperate crescendo, and the journal and key flare their light, merging into a searing white. The watchers freeze their hum faltering, but the hunger's mark roars, and I feel it dark, vast, endless, trying to claw out of me. The whispers scream, choose, break, save. I mutter, choose, I'm out of coins for this game, but the mark's power is overwhelming, and I'm losing grip. Kaplan collapses. Her chant cut off, blood smearing the altar. The sigils dim, the ritual incomplete, and the watchers advance their hum, a triumphant drone. I grab the journal and key, shoving them into my backpack, and haul Kaplan up her weight, dead against me. The mark surges, and I feel that dark power again, tempting me to unleash it, to break the vessel, to let the hunger out and burn them all. The whispers plead, no, run, hide, I mutter. Running's my cardio now, and drag Kaplan toward a side door, the watchers closing in. The sigils flare one last time, buying us seconds, and we stumble into the fog, outside the cathedral trembling behind us. The fog swallows us, the watchers hum muffled but relentless. Kaplan's barely conscious, muttering, fail. It's waking. The hunger's mark pulses calmer now, but heavier, like it's biding its time. The journal and key glow faintly in my pack, their weight a reminder of what's at stake. The whispers a faint, broken hide. Choose. Soon. We're out of the church, but not the fight. The mark's power. The key's words. The watcher's hunt. It's all converging, and I'm the vessel cracking under the pressure. Here's some elderly wisdom my uncle used to say. You can't hold a river in your hands. He meant greed, but the hunger's a flood, and I'm the dam. And an odd fact, occultists debate ritual collapse where a binding fails, unleashing the entity, if the anchor person or place breaks. Some call it legend, others point to vanished coffins. The ritual collapsed, and I'm the anchor now, with a mark that's more than a scar. Kaplan's fading, the watchers are coming, and the hunger's whispering my name. The next choice isn't just about saving her, it's about whether I break or hold. The fog blankets the street at midnight, a suffocating veil that muffles the city's pulse. Kaplan slumped against me, her breath shallow, barely conscious her weight, dragging with every step. The backpack straps cut into my shoulders, the journal and key inside glowing dimly, their red and gold flickers pulsing faintly through the canvas, alive but weary. The whispers are a thin thread guiding through the haze, refuge. North. Trust. The hunger's mark in my chest pulses with a growing will, not just a burn, but a presence, whispering its own dark urges, tugging me towards surrender. The watcher's hum grows closer, a relentless drone weaving through the fog, and I mutter if this is hide and seek they're cheating, but my voice shakes, fear clawing at my gut. Kaplan mumbles, north, old shop, arrows. Her words slur, blood soaking her bandage, and I tighten my grip, half carrying her. The whispers echo her shop. Safe. But the hunger's mark resists, its pulse heavy, like it knows where we're going and doesn't like it. The key's weight in my back feels like a chain. Its words, The vessel must break looping in my head. I'm the vessel, the conduit, and the mark's will is growing, tempting me to unleash it to break and let the hunger consume the watchers. I mutter, not today, pal, but the power's seductive, a cold rush that makes my hands tremble. The streets a ghost of itself fog, swallowing signs and lights. The whispers sharp and close. Hurry. But the hum spikes now with soft footsteps, multiple circling. I glance back, nothing but mist, but the hunger's mark throbs a warning. I shift Kaplan's weight knife ready and hiss, come on, show yourselves. A shadow flickers in the fog. Hooded silent and the hum vibrates my skull. The whispers scream, run, now. But Kaplan's too heavy and running's a fantasy. I mutter, plan B it is, and pull the last chalk napkin from my sleeve, its sigil glowing faintly. I throw it toward the shadow, the sigil flaring bright, and the hum falters, buying us seconds. We stumble north, following the whisper's pull. The shop appears a rundown storefront, its sign faded, Harrow's Antiques barely legible. The whispers hum, almost relieved inside sanctuary. I shove the door and it creaks open, no lock, no sigil needed. Inside it's a maze of dusty shelves, books and trinkets. The air thick with old paper and something sharp like ozone. I ease Kaplan onto a chair, her head lolling, and check her pulse weak but there. The whispers soften, hide, wait. The hunger's mark pulses calmer, but insistent, and I feel it watching, waiting for me to slip. I set the backpack down, the journal and keys glows, casting eerie light across the shelves. The hum's outside now circling the shop, but the walls hum faintly like they're warded. I mutter, nice decor, Harrow, and search for anything useful. Chalk sigils, a first aid kit. I find a leather-bound notebook on a shelf, its cover marked with a spiral, no slash like the key. Inside it's Harrow's notes, scrolled warnings. The conduit must hold or break, no middle ground. My stomach twists. The mark surges, and I feel that dark power again urging me to break, to let it out. The whispers counter, faint but firm. Hold, choose. The hum intensifies, the shop's windows rattling. Kaplan stirs, rasping, seal the door. Sigils. I grab chalk from a drawer and sketch sigils as she taught me, their glow, weak but steady. The hum presses and a shadow moves outside, testing the wards. The hunger's mark roars and I feel it, vast, hungry, alive, pushing me to act, to break the vessel and end this. The whispers wail, no, hold, refuge. I mutter, I'm not your puppet, but the choice is crushing. Break, and the hunger might destroy the watchers, but also me, Kaplan, the city. Hold, and we're sitting ducks, with Kaplan fading, and the watchers closing in. A window shatters, a gloved hand reaching through, and the wards flare, repelling it. I grip the knife, standing over Kaplan, and mutter, you picked the wrong shop. The hum's deafening. Now multiple watchers outside, and the mark's will is a tidal wave promising power if I let go. Kaplan's eyes flutter open, meeting mine, and she whispers, don't break. The whispers align, hold, trust. I clench my jaw, shoving the dark power down, and slash at the reaching hand, driving it back. The wards hold, but they're fading, and the choice is now break or fight, to hold on, with no guarantee we'll survive. Here's some elderly wisdom. My grandma used to say, you can't carry a storm in your pocket. She meant burdens, but the hunger's a hurricane, and I'm its cage. And an odd fact, occultists debate conduit collapse, where a marked person fails to contain an entity risking annihilation. Some call it myth, others cite lost bloodlines. I'm the conduit and the Mark's will is growing. Kaplan's dying. The watchers are at the door, and the whispers demand a choice. Holding's all I've got left, but the vessel's cracking, and the storm's about to break free.